Hey guys, DX here. So yeah, I'm back with another deck profile in the series of about 4 to 5 deck profiles I have lined up within the radius of the release of set 10. Radius, time frame, yeah, more like time frame. So yeah, this deck, as you can see, I have triple layered it. So yeah, I only triple layer decks that my personal decks, as well as decks that I love. Yeah. So yeah, let's get started with the deck profile. So this would be a Prism deck profile, as you can tell from the starter. I'm not too sure about many of the names in this deck, so I shall just refer to their skills. So firstly, for this card, the starter, of course, like all current starters nowadays, when you write a grade 1 Bermuda Triangle on her, she gets to move back to any of the regard circles. And of course, her second skill is when you have a rear guard Bermuda Triangle that is returned, you can return her as well. This skill is extremely essential in this deck. And yeah, it's really important. So yeah, she is a really good starter for this deck. So yeah, over there. Moving on to the grade 3s. Firstly, the boss unit of this deck, Labrador. I play 3 Labradors. Some of you might think that 3 is too little, but I think 3 is just about fine, considering my grade 2 lineup. But yeah, we'll get to that in a while. So Labrador skill is Limit Break 4. When this unit attacks, choose 3 Prism units from your hand, call it to rear guard circles, and she gets plus 10k and 1 crit. So that is a really good skill. She swings for 21 on her own, and yeah, a 21 and 2 crits. And her second skill would be Counterblast 1 to return a Prism unit to your hand. So yeah, very useful, both her skills, and a very good card in general. There is a reason why she is one of my favorite decks. Okay, next up we have of the Break Rights. I think her name is Vert, I'm not too sure. Best art in this deck, I think, as well as one of the best Break Rights around. So her skill is when the Bermuda Triangle rides this unit, the unit gets plus 10k and you get to draw a card, as well as return 2 units from the field into your hand. So this is one of the main bouncers other than Labrador in this deck. Wait, I think those are the only 2 bouncers in this deck. So yeah, both the grade 3s are the only bouncers. This is without Counterblast, this is with Counterblast. And so yeah, her skill really gives you a lot of pluses, and yeah, it's just a really good skill to have. As well as when you bounce 2 units, you get to bounce an additional 1 if you do have your starter on the field. So yeah, really good. Okay, moving on to the grade 2s, which is why I only play 7 grade 3s. For grade 2s, I play 4 12ks. Enough said, 12ks are 12ks. Moving on would be 4 10ks, which would be your ideal your ideal ride in general. So yep, 10ks. More useful as your vanguard than a rear guard, but you know, it still works. And lastly, a card that most of you aren't expecting, for Rosas. So yeah, that's 12 grade 2s in my deck. Rosa's skill is if your vanguard has Limit Break 4, which both your grade 3 vanguards do have, it gets plus 3k when it attacks, so it's an 11k attacker. So as you can see, my grade 2 lineup is really offensive. 10k, 11k and 12k attackers. So some of you might ask, why do I play 12 grade 2s? Because in this deck, in my opinion, the grade 2s are the soul of the deck. So without grade 2s, you have no fail, and as such you have no power for Labrador, and yeah, you basically lose the game. So you really need a lot of attackers. So yeah, that's why I play 12 grade 2s. If you want to play an additional Labrador, I would suggest maybe taking out a Vert or a 10k. 12ks are pretty nice in this deck, so yeah, I suggest you do not touch the 4 of them. But Rosas have a pretty weak body at 8k, but they are good at, you know, attacking for 11, which can attack most Vanguards nowadays on her own. So yeah, because I do have friends that play Vermilion. If you remember the match that I had with the guy who played against my Sail Dragons, they do take out your field pretty quickly. So having an quite unlimited amount of grade 2s is very essential to this deck. So yeah, rearguards are the soul of this deck. Okay, moving on to the grade 1s, I play 4 negates. 4 negates are just about right. 3 is fine, I would say, but yeah, 4, I like playing stuff in multiples of 2. Labrador is an exception. Yep, so 4 negates. Some of you might say that 4 negates are the best choice because your hand size is really big. I beg to differ. In this format of Bermuda Triangles, because you don't play cards like Rio and I think Perla and Perle, so you don't actually have a really good hand size. Your hand size only relies on vert and yeah, draw triggers and stuff like that. But the bouncing does help, but most of the time when you bounce, you do want to call it straight away. So, oh yeah, forgot to add this in. Some of you might be wondering why I do not play Celtics, because I actually tried playing Celtics and I just find that it's pretty weak. As a rearguard, it attacks for 9 and sometimes you don't have boosters and that sucks, so it can't attack anything. But 10k can attack rearguards, 9k's, 11k's can, and 12k's can attack Vanguard, so I think that's pretty neat, I would say. So it's okay, but Celtics I just really don't think that Celtics are good in this deck. So yeah, next one I play 4 of Clear. I think, yeah, Clear was a card that I spent quite a lot of time finding. Clear skill is when you return this unit to your hand, so blast 1 and it gets plus, choose a unit and it gets plus 4k. So yeah, I'll explain her strategy with my deck later on. So yeah, 4 clears. Clears actually have the same skill as Celtics, so I do play the grade 1, I just don't play the grade 2. Okay, moving on to one of the early rush cards and the card that you want to write as your Vanguard. 4 10k's, self-explanatory, I think. Yeah, 10k's are good. You can use it as a rear guard when you don't have any. You can use it as a attacker if you don't have any rear guards like grade 2s, but that usually isn't the case. Behind Rosa is 18k, 17k and 19k, so yes, that is a good number. Can hit almost anything. And lastly, a card that most of you actually might not play. I play 2 of the Labrador boosters. Li Tao, I'm not too sure, but she is an 11k booster, so that is it's pretty good. 11k boosters, yeah, but it only does boost Labrador, so that's why I only play 2. Some of you might actually play the non-prism when this unit is called can soul charge 1, but I don't actually play that unit because, as you can tell, I don't play Celtics, so yeah, I don't really find that it is useful in this deck. So yeah, I do play 2 because it does help in certain situations, like let's just say you don't end the match after Labrador skill goes off like twice or thrice. In that situation, actually you should have ended the game, but your opponent probably has a lot of negates or something. So yeah, you can Soul Blast 1 for her to boost for 11. So if Labrador skill is not activated, she attacks for 22, which is a fairly good number. Break Right and skill activated, she can go all the way up to I think 42, which is, if your opponent has no negates, you know, it's set for them. So yeah, I play 2 of her. And now moving on to the triggers. Yeah, so I play 4, 8, 12 and 14 grade 1s. Moving on to the triggers, I play 4 crits. Oops. 2 crits, 2 additional crits, so the 4 prism crits, 2 non-prism crits. Some of you might ask why I do not play 8 crits, because your Vanguard has a crit ability. I know that a lot of people, even though their vanguards have crit abilities, still do play 8 crits for the pressure. But in my opinion, draws are more important in this deck, so that is why I play 6 draws. So firstly, 4 of these non-prism draw. Most possibly the card with the worst art in this deck. I really don't know why she's drawn this way or anything, but yeah, she is a good card, that's why I play 4 of her. Good in a sense as her skill is so charged this unit and just a unit to plus 3k to it. So the plus 3k is meh, I guess. Isn't really worth wasting the cards, but the soul charging for your skill of lethal, I think, and clear is pretty good. So yeah, with these guys you won't have to worry so much about when to use the soul blast or when not to. So yeah, 4 of these draws and another 2 draws, the prism draws. So reasons why I play 6/6 is I tried playing 8 draws and 4 crits. My rear guard pressure and my hand to guard actually wasn't good enough because too many 5ks. And yeah, in general it just pretty much sucks to have a lot of 5k shields in your hand, because you can't do much other than probably helping to boost up other units and stuff. So yeah, the only reason why I play more than 4 crits is so that I can have more 10k shields. So, and yeah, I tried it and it's really inconsistent because of the low hand. You might have a lot of hand, but you know, most of your units are 5k shields, so that defeats the purpose. And lastly, of course, for heals, a really nice looking heal. So that's it for my deck profile. Yeah, it's one of my favorite decks to play. I've been playing this deck for a really long time. And yeah, so now on to some combos that I usually do with this deck. So in most of the games, if like, you know, everything goes well and you get what you have, okay, let's say, okay, so you do start off with your grade 0, and your ideal ride would of course be the 10k, because the rest of your grade 1s are important. If you have a booster, you know, bring her to the side, or you know, bring her to here. 5k boosters are kind of okay, I guess. So yeah, let's just say you bring her here. So next turn, of course, your ideal ride would be your 10k, because a 10k base has more defense during your opponent's turn. Probably call some attackers and maybe a, yeah, so this swings for 17, so it's decent. Usually if you do have Rosas in your hand, I would suggest you keep them as shields in case you can guard like an opponent's low attack, because I don't think it's really useful to call so early, since you actually don't have any units that can limit break. Any units that have the skill limit break. So yeah, and then next turn, of course, break rights would be good if you can ride them. Then you'll probably maybe call a Rosa, a clear here, maybe a clear here, and you can get your booster here. So this is a full failed. I don't usually suggest overcommitting, but if your hand is good, you know, why not? So like this, the vert skill goes off and you swing for 17, 18, and vert would be 19. So yeah, it's pretty good. After this, you break right. Okay, so when you break right, the amount of units to bring back to your hand is crucial. So of course you draw a card, and most of the times this is what I do. Let's say that I did have a Rosa. If my field was like this, of course I return this when I return a unit. Some people might return this and this so that they can boost next turn with her, but I mean, you can still call her, but you know, some people just like to leave her here. but usually what I tend to do is I return these two, so I can use a skill, and instead of giving the power to the Vanguard, since most likely your opponent is gonna negate anyway, give your power to your Vanguard, so she swings for 16 on her own, which is really good. So it's probably like a 16k corner. If you have a booster, maybe yeah, it just goes for 23, which is an amazing number. So yeah, since most of our boosters are 7ks anyway, 23, and your Vanguard, when she attacks, if you do have a lot of cards in your hand, maybe 1, 2, I know she doesn't boost, but you know, just call her for fun, or maybe like this way. So 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, she does swing for yeah, she swings for 31. Yep, 31k. If you happen to boost with her, she swings for 42. You can call down this one and this one. So your field is full again, and she swings for 42. This swings for 23, and yeah, this swings for 18. No, 16. So they all have pretty good numbers, and yeah, that's why I really like this deck. The pressure is pretty high, and it's just really fun, you know, just going all out with skills and stuff. So yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed the deck profile. I spent quite a lot of thought into this deck profile, and I have played it for very long, but sadly I will be selling this deck, cause I think it's time to, you know, move on to other decks that have more importance and are more unique to not more unique, much more newer to like the newer meta stuff. So yeah, regrettably I will be selling this deck. You guys can contact me for discussions, but most likely I will be confirming the price and everything in my latest update video, which will come out after BT13. So yeah, you guys can look out for that. But if you want to offer me for it first, yeah, sure, why not PM me or text me. I'll leave my number in the comments. So yes, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I hope this helps you in some way. Bye.